Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today, I am going to be sharing with you my #1 tip for how to prevent this situation. When your lashes just start popping off, right? It happens to the best of us, okay? And the worst of us. There's a really foolproof way to prevent this. We're gonna jump right into that tip and the application so that you don't have to stick around if you don't care. But I highly recommend sticking around for the last part of the video because I'm gonna be talking about how like the lash length, lash type, lash band thickness, your eye shape, the glue, especially like the different types of glue. There's so many different contributing factors to preventing your lashes from falling off throughout the day, right? There's like so many. So we're gonna go over those after. But I just want to get into this for those of you who just like don't want to stick around for that. So I am going to be using the House of Lashes in this. I trimmed them, I pre-trimmed them. So they were a little bit longer than this, but this is House of Lashes in the style Macchiato. These are some of my faves. Give you a zoom so you can see what's going on up in here. So the first thing I'm going to do is curl my lashes, and I like to apply my mascara. I like to curl my lashes and apply mascara before I apply my falsies. Okay, this is going to depend heavily on you. You know, some people like to apply mascara afterwards. I just like, I don't know, like there's a lot of famous makeup artists that do that. I've tried it a few times. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So I really just prefer applying mascara first. And I curl them specifically before because I have very straight lashes that point downwards for the most part. Like they're very straight and they're stubborn. So if I want them to blend at all with the false lash, then I want to make sure that I am curling them. Now again, my lashes are pretty fine, so they don't really get in the way. I know that a lot of people who have like super curly lashes have a problem with their lashes actually getting in the way. So if you have super curly lashes already, just skip this. I'm going to be applying the Kosas Soul Gazer mascara. For mascaras, personally, I like something that's gonna stay wet for a little bit longer, and we can talk about that a little while later. So I'm gonna do a pretty even coat of Soul Gazer, which I think is like a tubing mascara. It's not actually exactly what I would want for when I do wear falsies. It's actually a quite nice mascara on its own, just saying. So like I mentioned, I've already pre-trimmed my lashes, so they were ready to go. You should absolutely do that before you start applying your mascara. Okay. I guess I'll do the other eye. I usually do that. I don't know why I was gonna just move on immediately. I like the mascara to get tacky enough. Okay, so I want it to dry down enough, but I don't like my mascara to be fully dry before I apply my falsies because I like to have some like grip left over that I can kind of help adhere the falsie to the natural lash. But if it's too wet, then it ends up drying and it's really difficult to take off. You have to be super gentle. You know, like they just end up like getting too stuck together. So you want it to dry a little bit, but you want there to be like a little bit of tack so that you can kind of just like squeeze them together at the end. We'll go over that. For glue, I'm going to be using the Duo Brush On Lash Glue. I feel like this is the most accessible, one of the most accessible brushes. Jesus? Just called my cat Jesus. Ziva? Not today. Not today, Jesus. Lash glue. I feel like this is one of the most accessible lash glues out there. The brush really allows you to be a little bit more precise. So I like this. It's probably my favorite. And again, we'll go over lash glue later on. In terms of applicators, I like a tweezer, okay? And again, we'll go over this later on. I'm using this one from Japanesque right now. It's a little bit more blunt, a little short. And I just feel like I have good precision with this. So I like to hold the lash like about midway, maybe like towards the end a little bit, like the last third or so. And I like to hold it relatively close to the band so that I have enough control but I don't want to be right up against the band. I don't want to be too far away. I don't want to be like at the end of the lashes. You want to make sure that you have like a decent grip. Now I'm going to hold it in my left hand because I'm right-handed, and I'm going to take the Duo Lash Glue. Now what I'm going to do is apply a thin layer of glue all over the band. Okay, from the end, each end, all the way. Now this is a relatively runny lash glue. Now, I wonder if you'll be able to see this. What we're gonna do is we're gonna wait. We're gonna wait for this to dry down a little bit. It's gonna start to get tacky. It's gonna start to get a little bit more invisible, all right? Now, if you've ever applied false lashes, then you would know that when you put on this initial sort of like application of lash glue, what's the easiest way for you to see this? Then you start to see the ends dry the fastest first, okay? So you'll see those start to go transparent. And what happens is when you're applying that lash glue, when you have it applied to the entire lash, the ends are being pulled in. The glue on the ends is being pulled in by the center. It's all sort of being like pulled towards the center. So that is like probably the biggest culprit when it comes to your lash popping off. One of the biggest culprits. And again, we'll talk about it later. So we're just doing this one little application. I have like a little buildup right here in the middle because there's like the adhesive from when the lash was glued to its whatever. I'm just gonna remove that with a little Q-tip. So you can already see in some areas of the lash, you see where the glue is starting to dry down, okay? So now what I'm gonna do, you don't have to wait too long. I'm gonna go in with another layer, and I'm starting in the center so that I'm applying a good amount, and then I'm taking a little bit more, and I'm really focusing on the end of the lash, each end, putting that like right on the outer part. Now the reason for, now you can see a lot better actually, that glue is much more even on the ends, okay? So what we do is we apply that first layer of glue that's kind of acting as like something for the final layer of glue to grip onto, okay? And that way we are able to focus more glue on the ends. And you'll be able to start to see it. It starts to go a little bit transparent. You definitely want the glue to get tacky, right? If it is too runny, it's gonna slide around, okay? So you just wanna be patient with this. And if you happen to wait a little bit too long, like it gets a little bit too tacky and you go to put it on and you're having trouble, it's maybe sticking, it's not giving you enough of like wiggle room, just go in with another light layer of glue. And that's what's so great about using these like really thin layers of glue, is it allows for a little bit more like mistakes, you know what I mean? A little bit more wiggle room. You can go in with a little bit more. If you apply like a ton, especially on the second pass, then it's just gonna be too much. All right, so now I'm ready. So I'm going to place this towards the center. Now I like the skinniest part, the shortest part to line up kind of like with my iris, like the end of my iris. So I'm not necessarily placing this directly in the middle because I sort of created a little bit more of like a 2/3 lash. So I'm kind of tilting my face like this, looking down into a mirror, and I'm gonna press it right at the base of my lashes. Don't panic, you can just put it down, okay? Now I'm gonna line up the outer part of the lash first. I wanna make sure that that is down, and then I'm gonna go into the inner part. Because if you do the inner part first, you always run the risk of bringing it in a little bit too close, too far in, and then your outer lash, like where it's longest, it ends up like too far in as well, and it looks weird on your eye. Okay, so that's well lined up. Just using the tweezers to kind of like brush through my natural lashes. Okay, no, I'm just gonna leave that. We're gonna apply the next one. I'm gonna do the exact same thing. So now that this one, I'd literally just finished applying this one. Now that this one has been sitting for a second, I'm just going to take my tweezers and I'm going to, once again, looking down, I'm just gonna gently, literally gently, like you do not need to do this very harshly. You don't have to squeeze super harsh. I'm just squeezing my natural lashes, pressing them against the falsies. And this just helps to sort of blend them together so that they don't look completely disconnected. Okay, can you see the difference between this side and this side? I don't know if it's like super apparent, but I feel like, yeah, you can see that they've just like blended together. There's no, if you get really like up close, there's no weird gap between my natural lashes and the falsie. I'm gonna do the other one. Just making sure that my natural lashes are like well combed out. Ah! I pressed too hard. If you press too hard, you might either get caught on a little bit of glue or your actual lashes. You just don't need to do it. So just be gentle, okay? And then whenever I'm finished, I always just kind of like to push them up really gently, especially at the outer corner, just to kind of like give a little bit of a lift, you know? So cute. Love. Okay, so that's the application out of the way. That's my little trick. Honestly, those two thin little layers of glue are so important. Now we need to get into all of the factors that might change a little bit. First, I want to talk about the different kinds of glue because this is a big one. Now, the reason that I use the Duo lash glue and the reason that I like it the most is, like I said, it's runny, okay? So it really allows for that like dry down time. It's actually really good for beginners. I think a lot of people don't like it because it doesn't dry super fast. That's exactly why I like it, okay? If you do that nice thin layer, if you're not using too much, it will dry down relatively quickly. Like that I've been filming for like, I don't know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes maybe, I don't know. That whole thing was very quick. It was very quick, okay? The Duo lash glue is great for that, specifically because it doesn't dry too quickly. It doesn't get too sticky, all right? So that is why I choose this. Now, there are other brands of lash glue because people didn't like waiting, because we don't like to wait, who tried to make like lash glue that would get tackier faster. So some of the brands that did that were Velour. The Velour lash glue is quick, very quick. It's kind of like immediately out of the tube, tacky, a little bit more tacky. It doesn't have a ton of dry time. If you kind of like take it out and put it out on your, like it's instantly tacky. It's very, very sticky. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of that because I like to do this trick. I think that if you get a glue that is too tacky, it actually can be very difficult for beginners, and it can end up just kind of like globbing up in certain areas, and it can result in like too much glue. It can get messy. You know, there's just like so many things that can go wrong. If you're someone who hates a runny lash glue and you've been looking for something more sticky, this is great. Love the Velour lash glue for that, okay? Another really great one, if that's what you're looking for, is the one from Melt. It's like basically the same size as the Duo one. I like the applicator. I do use this. It's kind of like a nice in-between actually, between the Duo and the Velour. It does get stickier faster. You don't have to wait as long, but it does have like a little bit more, it's got a little bit more wiggle room, if that makes sense. It's still pretty tacky. So if you're using a glue like this, if you prefer a glue like this, and you're able to just like apply a nice even layer, focusing on the ends of your lash, fabulous, great. Maybe all you were missing was really focusing some glue on the ends. Maybe that's all you were missing. But if you've been using tacky lash glues, and you're still like having a big problem with things like popping off, you might want to actually give this a shot, especially if you're a beginner, the Duo, something a little bit more runny, and just be patient, be patient. It really doesn't take that long. Something else that I want to, House of Lashes, that's another one. To be honest with you, I don't have a ton of experience with the House of Lashes. I think this is also a very tacky one. Yes. One of the reasons that I don't love the really tacky lash glues, I feel like they get stuck in my natural lashes a lot more. Like they're very difficult to remove. So that's just something to keep in mind. Whenever I use them, if I'm like in a rush or something, I just always feel like they're in my lashes for like a week. Like I can't get it out no matter what I do. So those are just some things to keep in mind when it comes to lash glue. You also might prefer using a black colored lash glue. I have the Duo brush on adhesive in black. However, I did a very light eye look today. Usually I prefer not to use a black lash glue, but if you are wearing some kind of an eyeliner or something, it's probably best to use a dark lash glue. You want to make sure that you are, once again, using a small amount and keeping it like very, very tight to the lash band, because if that gets all over the place and you're not wearing like a liquid eyeliner, it can be pretty obvious, you know? So that's something that you need to be careful with. But if I was wearing like, I don't know, if I was wearing any kind of an eyeliner, I would probably be wearing black lash glue, because the clear can sort of like dry down and then it can be obvious. Now you could go over it with a little bit of an eyeliner. That is an option, or you could go over it with a little bit of eyeshadow. It depends. That's really going to be your preference. I switch it up. I switch it up depending on what I need. Speaking of eyeliner, that's going to bring me very much to the lash bands, okay? So what I used today was a very, very nice, light, flexible, clear lash band. That's why I love these lashes. Here's another one. Yeah, that's what I love about House of Lashes. House of Lashes has some of my favorite lash bands. This one is no longer available, the style, which is a damn shame. Bring it back, Patrick Ta. I don't know how well you can tell, but it has like the skinniest lash band in the entire world. Like it's so skinny, and I love that. It makes it super flexible and really easy to use. The opposite of this is something like, so these are by Lily Lashes. These are in the style In the Buff. They're beautiful lashes, but do you see how much thicker that lash band is? It's like a straight up black line, okay? So I personally don't love those kinds of lashes. I feel like I have to have some kind of like a liquid eyeliner, or at least like a smoked out black or brown, like dark brown, to hide the band. They can be a little bit more difficult to work with. So if you are a beginner, I would highly recommend looking for a clear, skinnier lash band. Ardell has great ones, Kiss has great ones, House of Lashes are some of my faves. But yeah, this is a little bit more advanced, I would say. It also depends heavily on your eye shape. Now, I like the Lily Lashes. I actually think that the shape of the band is quite nice. And as far as black lash bands go, it's not that bad. There used to be a brand called, I don't know if they're still around, Violet Voss. Their lashes were like, oh, it was like a caterpillar band, okay? And they were big. I'm talking like 2015, 2016 makeup style, all right? We were wearing big ass lashes. Those are not so beginner friendly, and you need that like liquid wing to really blend them. So that's another thing that you want to keep in mind is eyeliner. How are we blending the lash band? Like, what is this lash band? Okay. Is it thick? Okay. Is it flexible? Is it skinny? Is it thin? All right. Are we using a dark lash glue? Are we using a clear lash glue? Is it going to blend into whatever I got going on my eyes right now? My eyeliner, my soft smoke, you know, my no eyeliner, or my like thick ass wing. Okay. Those are important things to keep in mind. Now, lash length, okay? You will see this is a very long lash, very big, like way too long for my eyes. I feel like most people at this point now know that they should be trimming their lashes to fit their eyes. Let's take this one for example, which is sacrilege because like I said, they don't exist anymore. Actually, I'm not gonna cut them. I'm gonna be precious with these because I love them so much. I think it's my last pair. Skinny. Bro, the skinniest lash band ever. Look at, can you see how skinny? It's like a tiny little line. It's like a thread basically, and then like a clear band. It's very flexible, which is amazing. I love House of Lashes for that. Hello. Very, very long. So if I take these and put them up against my eye, like that's gigantic, right? Like obviously I'm already wearing lashes, but these are very, very long. Now, if your lashes are way too long and you do my little like glue trick, they're probably still gonna pop off because they're gonna be like, as you're blinking and stuff, they're gonna be like hitting things. You know, maybe the glue doesn't dry down fully. It gets stuck on like the inner corner and it gets stuck to like your lower lash. Oh, that has happened to me and it's so horrible. For anyone who doesn't know, where you should trim is always the very outer corner, okay? Where the lash is the longest, because the inner corner is meant to be small. It's meant to be short, okay? So you want to make sure that you are trimming from the outer corner. Now, I like to line it up with my iris, like the inner part of my iris, because if I go in too far, it's just like, it's very difficult to blend into my lashes because I basically don't have any lashes in that in that inner corner. It's just like peach fuzz at that point. So I want to make sure that I am fitting my eye and able to blend in. You know, I prefer a half lash. It makes things a lot easier. It'll depend heavily on your eye shape, obviously, and what you're going for. Like maybe you want your lashes to be a little bit longer because you have lashes that you kind of want to elevate. You want to bring up a little bit, like I'm talking Sophia Loren style, okay? That's advanced. That's advanced. If you know, you know. And if you know, then you're probably already doing it. And you probably don't need any like advice on that. Now, sometimes there are bands that are a little bit thicker, that are dark black. This literally has like setting spray or hairspray all over it, sorry. These are the iconic light demis from House of Lashes. They are a shorter lash. I don't know if anyone here remembers the iconic House of Lashes iconics. Shout out Desi Perkins. Okay, beautiful lash style. They are a shorter version of the lash. It has a thicker black band, but because they're much shorter, they're a lot easier to work with. And they have like a pretty decent shape. It's not like a heavy black band, it's just a black band. These are fabulous, in my opinion, if you are someone who loves to wear like a thin wing. Whether it's black, brown, whatever, these are so good. And they're really easy to work with. Such a cool spiky style. Like, love these so much. I am going to link some of my favorite lashes down below if there are any that I forget to talk about, but I have a few here that I want to share with you. A really good way to tell what kind of like lash band you want to go for is what kind of lash curler do you like? Do you like a really rounded lash curler? Or do you like a lash curler that's a little bit more flat? I like a lash curler that's a little bit more flat. I use the one from Refer. It's flatter. I feel like I can maneuver it into my inner corner, out into my outer corner. If I have a lash, this one's a little bit more round. This is from Buxom. It's not terrible, but it's very round and I feel like it'll pinch my skin. It gets like, it's just not, I don't have enough control over it. My eyeball is just like not that round. It makes it difficult to use. Which is also why I really like the thinner lash bands, because you can kind of like manipulate them to fit any eye shape, you know? Something that is incredible and you may have seen around like crazy these days are the underlashes, the pre-stick underlashes. Oh, they have like changed my life. They are so fabulous. I love them so much. There are some really fantastic, I would say that actually Velour has some of my favorites of those. And the reason for that is they're super curly. So one of the things that you want to watch out for with an underlash is if it's too straight, it can end up dragging your eye down because you're already putting it underneath your lash, right? You're not putting it above. So if it's too straight, it's going to like go downwards. If you have something that's a little bit more curly and fluffy, then when you apply it, it's going to kind of curl up your lash. It's going to give your eye a little bit more lift, which I really like. It's not going to drag the eye down. Velour has some of my faves. They just came out with these, which are self-stick extensions for underlash. These are really cute and they're a full lash, which is interesting because I've seen a lot of stick, like underlash applicators, lashes that are clusters, which are great. Clusters are fantastic. And if you're more comfortable with clusters on the upper part, then you absolutely can do that as well. But these are full strips, which are like a little bit shorter, so they are easy to use. And so good, they can be a little bit shorter because they're going underneath your lashes, so you're not going to see that like distinction, you know what I mean? So these are fantastic. I haven't tried them yet, but I think they look great. And I'm a huge fan of their segments, their underlash segments. So that's a really great option if you don't want to spend on velour. Ardell has some. These are the pre-glue, the naked press-on pre-glue underlash extensions. Really beautiful, beautiful like natural style. I love that. Look at that, so good. And then Ardell, right? Ardell. I can't find them right now, but Ardell also has some of my favorite is it under Ardell or Kiss? I will link them. I used them in a video semi-recently, and they're very, very good. Like, oh, they're so good. Bunch of different lengths, really curly, like, so they're so fantastic, and they're super affordable. I think I got them at Ulta or something. When it comes to individuals or clusters, I personally, there's just so many like kinds out there these days. I would personally advise against using the knotted ones. You can probably see those little dots? Ziva! Jesus. These little dots can be very difficult to hide into your natural lashes. It's like similar to a really thick black lash band. You probably want to be placing this on top of an eyeliner. It's fine. It's totally fine. Like, you can use them, but you want to be using like an eyeliner, because otherwise they're just kind of like, when you close your eyes and stuff, you're going to see these little dots. They can be difficult. They can be kind of difficult to hide. So that's something to keep in mind for individuals or clusters. I actually have an old individual, like how to apply individual lashes video that I can link up here. You can let me know if you want like an updated one. I haven't really messed around with individuals in a really long time, just because we have so many good like clusters these days, and it makes it so much faster. The last thing that I want to talk about are applicators, and this is so important. So you'll notice I used tweezers. I prefer tweezers. I just feel like they're not too long. I have like a really good, I like them to be like a little bit more horizontal than your typical lash applicator. I feel like they're a little bit too skinny. And I specifically like to use these. I also use these from Tweezerman, which are probably a little bit too sharp. You want to make sure you're not using a really, really sharp tweezer. Please don't use a sharp tweezer. Like, you know what you don't want to use? Also from Japanesque? This situation. Okay? You don't want to use this situation. You're gonna have a bad time, okay? I don't want you accidentally stabbing yourself in the eye. No good. Velour does have lash applicators that like, they're curved, so you're supposed to like pick up the lash like this. And I don't know why. Like, it's a lot easier. You can hold like more of the lash. It doesn't like flail around. I don't like it. I don't know why. I can't explain to you why. It even has this little like doe foot thing to kind of like move shit around if you need. I don't like it. I don't know why. I just don't. If you're looking for something like this, Velour, they've got them. They even have little minis. Okay, it's great. I don't like it. I don't use it. I don't like it. I keep them because they're gold and they look cute in my little container. And that's it. The only reason. So yeah, just be careful when you are choosing some kind of like a tweezer or lash applicator that it's not too sharp. Please, 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 please. Let's safety first. Safety first. And I will try to link my Japanesque tweezers because they're quite dull. Quite dull. But there are brands that make like tweezers, I believe, for lash applications as well. Oh no, there was one more thing that I wanted to mention. Mascaras. So I mentioned that I like a mascara that tends to stay a little bit wet. Not wet, but doesn't dry too quickly. There are a lot of mascara, like I don't use a waterproof mascara if I'm wearing lashes. It's kind of unnecessary. There are other tubing mascaras that dry down very quickly. And I don't like that because then I can't squeeze my lash to my natural lashes, and then it can kind of look disconnected. What are some, I'm trying to think of some like examples. To be honest, my favorite mascara to apply falsies to is the Hourglass Caution Mascara. So specific, but it is. And actually this did pretty well. I think it's a tubing mascara, but it actually like, yeah, it adhered pretty nicely. A couple little bonus situations. I feel like I didn't harp enough on looking down into a mirror. The best thing to really do is like look down into a mirror. You're keeping your eyelids like nice and flat. And that way you can kind of like come from the top, and your lashes aren't gonna be getting in the way. If you're trying to do it like this, you're just like, your lashes are gonna get in the way. And to be honest, that's kind of how I did mine today, but I don't follow my own rules. And another one is if you are wearing some kind of an eyeliner and you want to use lashes that have a clear lash band, and it's really difficult once you apply the lash to like conceal the band, what you can do is take a little bit of that liquid liner, whatever color it may be. Maybe you're wearing blue, you could take that blue and just paint that lash band. Be be careful with it. You don't want to get it all over the lashes, but just paint the top of the lash band so that when you do go in, it blends into that eyeliner, and you're doing it ahead of time so you don't have to worry about afterwards. That makes it a lot easier because then the lashes are in the way and you don't want to get it all over your lashes. You know what I mean? Trust me, I've been there. I've done it all. Okay? I've done it all. Oh, and then in terms of removal, I'll be honest with you. I just like do as I say, not as I do. This is what I do. I just gently pull them off. I just gently pull them off. And I feel like that's not what you're supposed to do. You can use micellar water. You can use, like, one of my favorite makeup removers is the Lancome by Facile. This is so good. Take a little Q-tip, kind of loosen up the glue. You can get them wet. You can clean them. You can gently pull off, like with some soap and water, pull off the lash glue so that they last if you have some like really good quality lashes. I would say I reuse my lashes quite a bit, and I would say I don't clean them. So that's just the truth. Don't yell at me. I probably forgot something in there, but those are all my little tips and tricks. Those are all the things that you want to keep in mind. That first, like the glue application, so important to prevent you from your lashes popping off, especially in the inner corner. It's happened to all of us and it is horrible. Obviously, another thing you can do if you have like a lash glue that has the brush, just put that in your bag with you wherever you go so that in case that happens, maybe like that in like an applicator or some tweezers or whatever, so that you can kind of like, you know, pop a little bit in that inner corner and then pop it back down if you have an emergency, you know, like if it's your wedding or something like that. Oh, damn, there was, oh, and then one more thing. There are also lash glues that come in little squeezy tubes. If you are using that, something I like to do is I will put that on like a little, like makeup, here, like the Auric one is an example. Something like this, you could just use like, honestly, you could just use like a paper towel, you could use the back of your hand, and then I will just take a Q-tip, I will fluff the little cotton off of the Q-tip so that it's just the little stick, and I will pick up that little like pile of the, I literally don't have any of it because I just never use it, but of the squeezy tube lash glue, pick it up on the Q-tip and apply it to the band like that. I think that's everything. I think I've covered everything. This is actually longer than I thought it was going to be, but I hope it was helpful. Yeah, please let me know if you want that updated individual lash tutorial. It's like literally the same thing. It's just individuals. Like you just want to take your time with it and whatever. Like and subscribe and blah, 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 blah. Let me know what you want to see next. And I will see you in the next one. I tried to look for my remote before. I'm going to go. Bye.